Hey everybody, I'm Zio from ZeNi Gaming.
And I'm Neo from ZeNi Gaming. Today we're actually starting a new series. We're doing some reviews. It's not something we've had on the channel before, but we figured we'd get into it.
We're going to talk about three different games, three different points. We're going to talk about what we like about the game, what we don't like about the game, and then we're either going to give it our stamp of approval or a stamp of disapproval. So let's get started. Our first game on the list is HARDCODE. HARDCODE is made by developer Mike Farlenkov. I apologize, Mike, if I screwed up your name. This game seems to be Mike's first game, or at least it's his first game recorded on Itch.io.
HARDCODE, I didn't get much experience with it, but from what I found is it was beautiful, very simple. There wasn't actually anything overly detailed going on, but it used simple neon colors and well-placed lights to create quite a nice effect when you're going through the game. What you could see really stood out in the way it was.
So the game was challenging, yet not overly difficult. The puzzles were simple, but enough to keep you occupied. However, the game can seem to drag a little bit due to lack of info. But again, it was nice to be put in that environment to just be placed there and figure it out. It kind of reminded me of Dark Souls a little bit.
So one of the mechanics it used is you sort of have like this little energy red lightning crystal thing, and you have to pick it up and get it to the next home station. What were they called? Home station?
Energy platform?
The post thing.
The place it belongs.
Yeah, we had to move it elsewhere. Okay, to continue through the game, you have to grab the energy thing and take it to the next energy thing place. See, the game's not ridiculously difficult in itself when you're just running about exploring, but when you pick up that energy thing, the game gets about 10 times harder, and you get like a gazillion different types of enemies trying to molest you as you're running through the corridors and stuff. That was mainly where the difficulty came in, and I thought it was personally quite an interesting mechanic.
Every time you walked into a room, all the enemies would just randomly pop up and get hyper aggressive more than usual, which made the game increasingly more difficult, especially because you had limited resources. Everything in the game was a resource, including the health and the ammo. The ammo itself is, you have 5 maximum bullets that it would recharge on a second basis. So if you would shoot 3 bullets in 3 seconds, you would get those bullets back. So Neo, I loved this game. I played this game for hours and got grossly involved with it. It reminded me a lot of Tron with a mixture of Dark Souls elements, which made it increasingly more difficult the farther you got. And I just can't wait to play more, and when he releases more, I'm excited. Mike, I think you did a great job.
I personally didn't have much playtime in the game. Like, I had a little bit of difficulty running the game, but once I got into the game, and as far as I did play, I also found the challengingness of it really interesting, and I love that mechanic that they use where, you know, you only get 5 shots and then you have to count back up, because it means that I can't just really run into that room guns blazing and shredder those motherfuckers like I want to.
Yep.
Trust me, I tried several times. I'd run in, I'd shoot all my shots, and I'd be like, oh fuck, that didn't work.
You have to be more strategic.
Yeah, it makes it really engaging and fun to play, because you really have to think about what you're doing as well as enjoy the fast-pacedness of the game.
Yeah, this game definitely was phenomenal. It's a game that seems really easy to lose time in. Like, I found myself just obsessively trying to be better at this game over and over again, and then just finding out just a little bit more when I finally figured out what to do. I definitely am going to give this game a Zio approves.
I think I will also give this game a Neo approves. Next up we have Etaria. It's a game by Bug Studio, who have made other games such as Montasea, Dino Ops, and various other small titles.
Etaria is a nice 2D side-scroller 16-bit style game. Aesthetically very pleasing. It's very simplistic, and I quite enjoyed the art style itself. Everything kind of reminds me in the sense of Terraria, but more up close and a little more campy.
Because of the way some of the things were very pixelated and small, some of the objects became indistinguishable. Like, the food was just, it looked like a jumbled mess of colors. We had a pair of leggings that took us like 6 years to work out that they were actually leggings, as well as the logs, which sort of looked like bow ties.
Another thing about this game that was difficult to swallow down was the movement and the combat. It was not very responsive. I felt it was very slow and non-engaging. You could just sit there and attack while things walked into your level 1 axe.
Using a level 1 axe to take down the bloody level 20 scorpions.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it makes sense and stuff.
Right.
The issue I had with the combat as well was the other issue I found with the combat is it didn't suit the game. The game used a live action combat type where you were quite into it and you were meant to be fighting along with the character, but because of how slow they did the combat, it kind of spoiled the sense that you got out of it.
Music was very one note. While it did seem fun and energetic at first, it almost seemed like it was on a 30-second loop and just played over and over and over. And it got very maddening and tedious to listen to.
It sort of reminded me of the game itself, because you see the game just didn't really do anything. It was just repetitive and very one note. It was sort of like one thing to do in the game, and you just did that for the rest of the game.
Yeah, there were no objectives and was not engaging enough to continue building extravagant things like you could in Minecraft and other such games.
There are races that are meant to be coming to the game in multiplayer, which could add a little bit more of diversity and interesting mechanics to the game. But as far as the game goes for me, I didn't really enjoy it so much. It just felt really slow and boring, and even though I managed to get quite far in the game, I was just grinding for it, as you do with the grindy games. It's pretty boring if you ask me.
I didn't play it as much as you did, Neo. I got kind of fed up with the tedium of the game, and I think I had a bug. I personally couldn't get a house to place. Like, I'd get the village all started, and I'd be able to set other things, but I could not set a house for the life of me. So I just went through killing everything and exploring, and all the maps were super small. I just didn't find it fun or engaging, and it was just boring and tedium. And you know how much I just hate doing tedious stuff. While I do think this game has a lot of potential with the races to explore in the future, the different possibilities of what they can bring to the game and the multiplayer aspect, for now, I'm going to give this game a Zeo disapproves.
I'm also going to follow up with a Neo disapproves, since this is a boring ass, grindy, stupid game. Next up we have Indivisible. It's a game made by Lab Zero Games. You may know them from some of their other popular titles, such as Skullgirls.
Their art style is very unique. The artist is known as Zonesama. He is a popular internet goer. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. He is the guy who took your childhood dreams and exploited them either for your pleasure or your disgust, whichever way you want to view it. The art style of this game is beautiful. You can definitely tell it seemed hand-drawn. However, it did seem to clash with the background. Now, keep note that this is on the PS4 demo that we were showing. On the PC, it is dramatically improved, where it looks more hand-painted backgrounds and is absolutely gorgeous.
The combat of the game I personally found really interesting and haven't really had any experience with anything like this before. It works by having you press the button and you'll do that attack, and you have to wait for the gauge to come back up, and you'll have a party of 4 people who have their own individual attack types and all sorts of crazy stuff that you can do by pointing the analog in different directions, and you will attack and your gauge will go down, and basically you need to experience it to really understand how amazing it is. It also has another system that it uses. It's sort of like a first attack system, because the game itself is a platformer. The combat system works by when you run into an enemy, it starts the combat phase, but the first hit platformer phase actually scores like a hit bonus when you actually go into the fight.
While it was new and refreshing to Neo, I thought it was kind of a beautiful blend of other RPGs and JRPGs that I have experienced. It reminded me in a sense of like Star Ocean, where you could go up behind an enemy, attack them to get a bonus, or like the Persona series where you get first attack if you hit them from behind. The action gauge kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy VII, just more fast-paced and a lot more current, and made it more enjoyable.
As I mentioned before, the game is first and foremost a platformer, so you're running about exploring the ruins and stuff, and I thought that the way the platforming was done was really smoothie. You had the nice classic, jumping and kicking off walls and stuff, but there was also a feature such as you could use an axe and jump and hook yourself in the wall and yank yourself up the wall, which I thought was really interesting for the type of game it was. I expected it to be quite combat focused based on the systems it used and the way the game was portrayed. It proved to be a really nice platformer with some really smooth mechanics that made it work really well.
And last thing we're going to mention about this game is its music. The music is beautiful and authentic. It seemed to have like this Mediterranean style, and it really absorbed you into the world, and you can kind of see this rich background of what these characters are in their locale.
I love the shit out of that game. Like I don't know what to say. It was like for me that was just. It's been a really long time since I've played a game and really felt like immersed in. I think it just did a really good job at combining the elements that it had to make something really beautiful.
Yeah, I thought the game was very enjoyable itself. I thought being a platforming 2D side-scroller, it was going to be more of a hack-and-slash type of game, but finding out that it had those RPG elements really allowed me to dig into it a little more, because it was refreshing in that aspect, because I haven't played an RPG in a while, and I love RPGs. So I agree with you. I think this was a short demo. However, the demo, I think, is a good promise for what the game will be when it releases in 2018.
The game, and I think it's brilliant. It's going to get a Neo approves from me.
And it's also going to get a Zeo approves. So everybody, those are the 3 games that we did reviews for. Let us know what your thoughts on these games are if you played them. We'll leave a link down in the description below for all of these games. You can try them out for yourself. Let us know your thoughts and which ones you think were better.
If you have any games that you're working on yourselves, you can send us a message or an email. We have plenty of ways to be contacted, because seriously, we love producing the content that you guys want us to produce.
If you have any games in mind that are new and fresh and you want our opinions on them, make sure you post those down in the comment down below. Let us know what you want to see, because we're going to continue to do this, and hopefully this gives you a little more info on these games and allow you to play them.
Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button if you can. Goodbye from Neo.
Bye!
Bye.